You know, I wonder if Sisyphus hated the Rolling Stones more than Prometheus hated the Eagles. Yeah, it's a Greek mythology joke. I didn't say it was a good one. Hey folks, welcome to This Week in History. Let's do it to it. On April 11th, 1856, Juan Santa Maria, a drummer boy, successfully burned down the hostel where filibusters under the command of William Walker were staying at the Second Battle of Revis. Walker was an American businessman that was carving his own little empire out in Central America, and his hired soldiers were fighting against soldiers hired by Cornelius Vanderbilt. So yeah, two American businessmen hired and trained armies to control trade between the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans. Fun stuff. On April 12th in 1204, Crusaders of the Fourth Crusade finally breached the walls of Constantinople and flooded into the city. It would officially fall the next day. This, by the way, would be the highlight of the Fourth Crusade. In 1606, Scottish and English ships adopted the Union flag, perhaps better known as the Union Jack. On April 13th, 1613, Samuel Argall set off with his captive, native princess Pocahontas, towards Jamestown with the intention of exchanging her for English prisoners that were being held by her father, Chief Powhatan. We did a video about this and all the fun stuff that happened in the three Anglo-Powhatan Wars. Yeah, you should check that out. In 1861, Fort Sumter surrendered to Confederate forces in the First Battle of the American Civil War. On April 14th, 1471, Edward IV became king again after his forces defeated the Lancastrians under the Earl of Warwick at the Battle of Barnet. The Earl was killed in battle, hence why Edward became king again. In 1561, a celestial phenomenon, I can't really think of another way to describe it, was witnessed and reported over Nuremberg, Germany, described by many as an aerial battle. There are several theories as to what went on, and yeah, a lot of people say aliens, but we currently don't know for sure. Oh, and another one happened over Basel, Switzerland in 1566. In 1865, Abraham Lincoln was shot in the back of the head by John Wilkes Booth while attending a performance of Our American Cousin at Ford's Theater. He would die the next morning. In 1909, a massacre organized by local Ottoman officials against the Armenian population of Cilicia led to the deaths of between 20 and 25,000 Armenians. In 1912, about 20 minutes before midnight, the British passenger liner RMS Titanic hit an iceberg in the North Atlantic. She would sink within a few hours, causing roughly 1,500 deaths. And of course, a shout out to our patrons, Steve Stevens and Clayton Jaimez. And if you too want to be on the wall of awesomeness, and we sure would love to put you on there, head on over our Patreon and help support us. And we can't stress enough how just much we do appreciate all of you supporting us simply by watching. But, if you wanted to hit the like button or, share the video or something, we're not against that. You can also check out links to our social media down in the description, as well as a link to our merch store. And just letting you know that if you do head over onto Patreon, we have a video about some of the possible theories of where the Sunday came from, as well as a nice little 4-minute rant of me going on a diatribe about historical clickbait. Yeah, it's actually worth watching. It's a lot more fun than it sounds, so you should definitely check it out. On April 15th in 1715, a peaceful party of South Carolina settlers who were simply there to try to get help with another tribe were killed in the Pocotaligo massacre, beginning the 2-year Yamasee War, which did not end well for the Yamasee. On April 16th in 73, the First Jewish-Roman War ended after the fall of the Jewish fortress at Masada following several months of siege. This actually brings us to... So some of you may be familiar with the story of Masada. It was located on a horst, which was basically a flat-topped mountain. Masada was rather difficult to get to, let alone try to take. It's like the old adage, a city on a hill is easy to defend but impossible to hide. There was a path up, it was called the Snake, but like its namesake, it was twisting and narrow. But more importantly, the fortress was the refuge for 960 Jewish rebels known as Zealots. Seeing this as the last Jewish stronghold, Rome wanted this war over and done with. So they built an earth ramp up the side of the horse that took several months so that they could finally get their army and siege machine up to the walls. And once this was done, they were able to break through rather easily and got into the fortress. And this is where fact and legend blur as far as what exactly happened. According to Josephus, who, to be fair, was Jewish but had also defected to Rome and become a citizen, so yeah, that's kind of how history works. What the Romans found inside was all the buildings but the food storage on fire and every man, woman, and child dead. Rather than risk being slaughtered by the Romans and or forced into slavery, the 960 people took it upon themselves to draw lots to determine who killed who, because to them, suicide was pretty much the worst sin. So they killed each other down to the last person, who unfortunately had to go with suicide. Now, modern historians are more of the belief that the Romans just slaughtered them and that the story was created to bolster rebellion amongst the Jewish community, but it's an interesting story nonetheless. Anyway, moving on. On April 17th of 1521, the trial of Martin Luther over his teachings began during the assembly of the Diet of Worms. It resulted in the first true schism between Catholic and Protestant and sparked off the Protestant Reformation. And that's just gonna about do it, but we'll see you back here next week. Same squirrel time, same squirrel channel. Thanks for watching, be happy, be healthy, and y'all come back now, you hear?